Today we're checking out a collection of Jurassic World figures with the coolest special features. Some of them have extreme battle damage, some of them have really cool attacks, and a whole lot more. Let's start it off with this gigantic Giganotosaurus figure. This is one of the largest Giganotosauruses that I currently have, and this figure has some really cool attack features. First is with this button on the top that swings its entire torso back and forth. There's also a button on the bottom of its tail to activate just the jaw by itself. Next, this T-Rex has one of my favorite special features. It actually can break free from its cage that's around its face. By pressing the button on its back, it breaks free and roars at the same time. That is super cool. This dinosaur is our first extreme battle damage dinosaur. This is an Allosaurus and it is part of the Jurassic World Dominion series. You can check out that huge battle damage on the side that you can open up to reveal what's underneath and close it up all the way as well. This is a really cool and huge figure. Next, we've got a really interesting T-Rex figure right here. This one is all disassembled. You can see all the insides of this Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can see the muscle of its tail, you can see the intestines, and you can actually lift it up to show even more underneath. Plus, you can actually reassemble it so it looks like a normal T-Rex. I think the legs and the tail are in this bin somewhere, so we'll probably see them in a little bit. Let's check out this other giant T-Rex figure right here. This is camouflage custom colored. And I really like this figure because of the attack features. You can use its tail for a chomping action, chomps downward, or you can lift the tail down and it lifts its head up for a roar. That is super cool, and I think these features make it look really lifelike. Next up, we've got the extreme battle damage Indominus Rex, and it looks like he's chomping on a little Spinosaurus figure. That's pretty cool. But let's check out that extreme battle damage on the side. You can turn it on and turn it off just with the click of a button. Plus, there's a button on its tail for chomping and roaring. This Indominus Rex's arms are huge as well, and check out the size of those claws. Over here, we've got an Albertosaurus figure with extreme battle damage on the side. Plus, it's got some on its skin as well. And just like the Allosaurus that we saw earlier, you can flip down the rib cage, you can see the stomach underneath, or you can close it all completely and hide the battle damage entirely. Next up, we've got a Scorpius Rex figure, and this has some really cool attack features. The first button on its back activates the jaw with sound effects, which is pretty cool, but it also has a second button for the claw slashing action, which I think is really cool. And that's not all. The tail is actually spring-loaded, so you can swing it back and forth to hit other dinosaurs with that poisonous quills. The next special featured dinosaur is this giant Pentaceratops figure. And just like the T-Rex that we saw earlier, it can break free from its cage by pressing a button on its back. Let's check that out. Ready, 3, 2, 1, go! Wow, that is so cool. And there's also a second button to swivel its torso back and forth too. Up next, I've actually just bought this new one to show in this video. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Extreme Damage Atrociraptor. I have quite a few other dinosaurs from this series, so I'm super excited to add a new Atrociraptor to them. So let's check out this battle damage on the side. Check that out. You can reveal it just by the click of a button, and it shows on both sides. Next, we've got another giant T-Rex figure with extreme battle damage on both sides, just like the Atrociraptor that we just saw. You can click it on and off. It's really cool, plus the rest of its body is fully posable. You can even open its mouth all the way for a giant roar. Up next, we've got an unusual looking dinosaur. This is an Ankylosaurus, and this one has a pretty cool moving feature that's really lifelike, I think. You can use its tail to move its neck around to look in all different directions, plus there's a button to even open and close its jaw too. So this feature gives this dinosaur some super lifelike movements. Next, we've got a giant Endoraptor figure. This figure has the classic coloring for an Endoraptor. You can use the tail to move the neck and the head around, and even some of the torso too. And there's two buttons on its tail. The first one moves its arms, And the second button at the bottom of its tail opens and closes its jaw. So you can use all three of these all together to make it look really lifelike. Here is the new Sinoceratops from the Jurassic World Dominion movie. This dinosaur has some really cool coloring, but the special feature is when you press down on its body, it lifts its head up, and it has a ton of sound effects too. Right over here, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Extreme Battle Damage T-Rex. So this figure is similar to the T-Rex that we saw earlier with the battle damage on its side that you can turn on and off on both sides, but it has entirely different coloring. It's a lot more orange, and it has some gray on the top as well. Next, looks like we've got a Pteranodon figure. This figure is ginormous. It's probably a foot from wingtip to wingtip, and it has two special feature buttons on its back. As you can hear, the first one activates the sound effects and also flaps its wings. And the second button in the front activates its jaw and more sound effects too. I really like how big this figure is, plus you can get some real lifelike wing flapping too. Over here, we've got another Pteranodon figure, but this one is actually from the Hammond collection. And the special feature of this dinosaur is that it is a soft, rubbery texture, as opposed to a hard plastic like many of the figures. So this figure is really posable, especially because of that rubber feeling that makes it feel like a real wing would. All right, here are our missing T-Rex parts. So let's actually go ahead and put them on to our T-Rex right here. All right, well, it looks like I'm missing a few pieces here still, but you eventually would be able to reassemble it to make it look entirely like a healthy T-Rex. Next up, we've got the Tyrannosaurus figure. And the special feature on this dinosaur is this slide lever action that moves its neck and gives a ton of different sound effects. Up next, I've got a little baby Triceratops with the battle damage that you can open and close on the side. Here's also a small Herrerasaurus figure with that same opening and closing battle damage on the side. This, I think, is the first Velociraptor of this bin, and the special feature on this dinosaur is the side-to-side slashing action. It is spring-loaded, so you can twist it, and it swings way back and forth. Here's another Herrerasaurus figure, but this figure does not have battle damage, but rather you can use the tail to open and close the mouth. And for how small the figure is, that's a pretty cool feature. And here we've got another Velociraptor figure, but this one has the extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. And it shows up on both sides too. Welcome back to Amazing Dinosaurs. Today I'm showing you a collection of my biggest Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World dinosaur figures. Let's get started with these brand new ones that I just bought. Let's start with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. All right, so here's the Tyrannosaurus Rex with battle damage. That is pretty cool that it flips open and close so easily. The rest of this T-Rex has a brown body with black detailing on the top, and the neck and head is fully posable too. Next up, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Mosasaurus. Let's open it up and check it out. All right, so here is the fully assembled giant Mosasaurus. It's got an opening jaw, and all the tails are adjustable. Top of its body is a dark blue-purple color, and its underbelly is a gray color. Check out those blue eyes too. Next up, we've got the giant Giganotosaurus. Check out the spikes on this dinosaur right at the top. That is a massive spine. This dinosaur has some huge teeth, and like many of the super colossal figures, you can actually feed it small dinosaurs and then empty it out in the stomach compartment. Over here on the other side, got another super colossal dinosaur. This is the T-Rex. This has a darker body than most of my T-Rex figures. It still has the white underbelly, and just like the Giganotosaurus, can open it up, feed it miniature dinosaurs all the way down, and open it up in the stomach compartment. Next up, we've got a giant Brachiosaurus. And it's pretty detailed, even though it's a huge dinosaur figure. You can adjust all the legs, to move the neck up and down. So it's a pretty cool figure, and it's ginormous. Probably stands about 3 feet tall. Next up, another huge dinosaur is the Apatosaurus. Check out this green body with the lighter green striping on the top. Can open and close the mouth and rotate the head too. Next up, we've got a huge T-Rex that's over a foot long from tail to the head. This T-Rex has a dark brown body, a yellow underbelly, and gray detailing all over the top of its body, plus an action button for roaring. Right over here, we've got another T-Rex with camouflage custom coloring. This dinosaur looks really cool. I love the coloring on this. And with the tail, you can control the face and the roaring too. Right over here, we've got an Indominus Rex with battle damage. Let's check that out. That is really cool. Again, I really like how you can flip that on and off super easily. Rest of this dinosaur is all gray, super textured and bumpy all over its body, and it has an action button to operate the jaw. Next up, we've got an evil looking Scorpius Rex. It's got the quills on its tail, spring loaded so you can flick the tail back and forth. It's got those huge claws on its feet too. This is one mean looking dinosaur. Right up top here, we've got another Mosasaurus. So we've got twin Mosasauruses in my collection now. You can see that it's speckled white all along its back with the dark blue and the gray underbelly as well. And the tail moves too. Here is a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a darker body, just like the super colossal one that we saw earlier. The head on this T-Rex is ginormous too, a lot bigger than the other T-Rexes that I have. Over here, we've got a custom colored Indominus Rex. This one's got blue, it's got purple, it's got orange, and it's got black. And it's got some green eyes too. And just like many of the other Indominus Rex figures, this has a slashing action and a roar button too. We got a ton of T-Rexes in here. Check out this gray-brown one that is fully adjustable and fully posable. We've also got some more battle damage T-Rexes. All those teeth fully posable and fully adjustable legs, arms, and tail. Up front here, we've got another T-Rex, but with different coloring. This is like a brown-orange color and a darker brown on top. Once again, this T-Rex is also fully adjustable, can pose the neck, and it's got a button at the top of its head to control the jaw. Here is another orange-brown Tyrannosaurus Rex, but as you probably already noticed, this one has battle damage all over it, and it doesn't have the little button to click it back and forth. It's just painted on its body. Here is a normal colored Indominus Rex without the battle damage. This Indominus Rex has a gray body. It's a little bit darker on the top. It's got those spikes right around the head, and then it's got darker coloring right around its eyes too. Here is another Mosasaurus. This one has different coloring than the other ones that we've seen in this collection so far. It's a lighter blue coloring on the sides. Still got the dark gray top. No white speckles on this one though. And just like the other Mosasauruses, it has a movable jaw, can adjust the fins, but on this one, the tail actually doesn't move at all. Next up, another T-Rex. Light brown coloring on the side, darker brown on the top, and a yellow underbelly. And this T-Rex has the tail that also controls the head. Here is our first Spinosaurus of this collection. This Spinosaurus is light tan on the side, the movable tail, legs, ankles, arms, neck, and the jaw as well. Over on this side, we've got a big old Carnotaurus. It's got a gray underbelly and clay red sides and a darker brown top. Look at all those bumps and spikes along its body. And the two horns up top too. Here we've got a T-Rex, but this one is crazy custom colored. Look at the bright red on this body. You wouldn't see this coloring out in the wild, but it sure makes for an awesome collectible. Here is a big old Stegosaurus with gray-blue coloring on the sides and a darker gray along the top with a pink underbelly. And this dinosaur, like all the others, is super textured. You can see it's got super bumpy skin everywhere. Here is an Allosaurus with a dark green body and gray and red detailing right along its neck. See that set of teeth too, and those red eyes. That's really cool. Depending on how much you slide this open, it'll either growl or it'll roar full on. This is another Allosaurus, but with totally different features. This has a tan body with blue on the top and a brighter blue right along the head. And it's got two action buttons. That one controls the jaw and the other controls the arms. Look at that blue tongue too. How unusual. Right in the back here, we've got a tan dinosaur. This is a Carcharodontosaurus. It's got the brown and yellow detailing with the bumps right along its spine all the way to its tail. This Carcharodontosaurus also has quite a set of teeth too. Here is a dark red dinosaur with a white underbelly. This is a Carnotaurus, and this dinosaur has a chomping action. Check out those two iconic horns right at the top of the head too. This big old dinosaur is a Suchomimus. It's got a blue body with a darker blue legs and a yellow top. Look at that, that goes all the way down the spine to the tail. Plus, this Suchomimus has a chomping action. Look at those huge rows of teeth too. And that red tongue. Up next, we've got a big old Stegosaurus again, but with different coloring. This is a dark green along the sides. It's got tan and brown that leads to the underbelly. And this Stegosaurus has a swinging action for its tail. Let's check that out. That's pretty cool. This is a little bit smaller, but it's still a pretty big dinosaur. It's a Ceratosaurus with dark green coloring, and it's got the slide action for different sound effects. That is really cool. Oh, you know what? Back here is another Ceratosaurus. This one, though, is gray with brown spots and red right on the top, and a super bright red face. Let's see what this dinosaur can do. This big old super bright dinosaur is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's even got some bright yellow orange right on the top of its head. This gray dinosaur is an Allosaurus. It's got that yellow detailing from the tail all the way to the top of the head. Look at those interesting things right above its eyes. It's kind of like eyebrows in a way. And our last dinosaur is the good old Albertosaurus with battle damage. You can see it's got the slash on its leg, and it's also got a squishy stomach, ribs that you can pull down, and then skin that covers it all. Today we're checking out this huge bin of Camp Cretaceous versus Jurassic World Dominion. Let's dig in. Our first giant figure from right in the center of the bin is the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus. This is a pretty large figure. It's got the soft green body with the black detailing all over the top. It's got that huge spine on its back as well. And this figure has some features as well. It has a chomping action, and it has a torso spinning action. This big figure is the Camp Cretaceous Extreme Damage T-Rex. This figure has posable arms, legs, tail, and a neck that you can move in all directions, and you can open its mouth for posing, and most importantly, it's got the extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. This next figure is the Jurassic World Dominion Therizinosaurus. This is a pretty big figure as well. It's got a dark body with the red stripe all the way to the top of its head, and it's got a few action buttons. You can use the tail to control the neck, and there's a button for chomping as well. I've also got some brand new figures from both Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World Dominion, so let's open these up next. This is the Camp Cretaceous Soundstrike Sinoceratops. It's got the all gray body, so let's open it up and check it out. You can see it's got bumps and texturing all over its body, and it's not all the same everywhere. You can even see a little bit of its ribs right there too. Interestingly, it's got all black eyes, and it's got some yellow and orange detailing on the top of its head right there. And you can use the tail to control the head. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Massive Action Siamosaurus, or at least I think that's how you say it. Let's open it up. This is a pretty unique looking dinosaur. It looks like it walks on all fours. It has a huge red spine on its back. It's got some interesting coloring along its body. It's mostly black, but then it has these white splotches all over. And this figure has a couple actions too. First, you can use the tail to swing the head up and down and all around, and there's a button on its tail as well to control the chomping. Next up is the Jurassic World Dominion Roar Strikers Rajasaurus. This is pretty cool. I actually have one Rajasaurus that we'll see later on in this bin, but this one has entirely different coloring. It is a dark blue color. It's got some lighter coloring along the bottom of its neck and its chin. It's got the iconic spines along the top of its neck. And of course, it has the action for when you press down on its body. It's got some chomping action. This is the Camp Cretaceous Dino Escape 3-pack. It comes with a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Darius, and Velociraptor Blue. So let's open it up and check it out. First up, we've got the giant T-Rex figure. This is the light gray brown T-Rex. It's got the darker brown along the top, and it's got the button on the top of its head for the chomping and roaring. Here we've got the Darius figure with the yellow jacket and blue pants, and it doesn't come with any accessories from him, but he does have a necklace. And finally, in the 3-pack is the iconic Velociraptor Blue figure. This is pretty similar to some other figures that I already have. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Ankylosaurus. It's got this super long neck with the clay red coloring and the brown top with tons of spikes all over its body. It's also got a few action buttons as well. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Carnotaurus figure. This figure is almost as big as many of the T-Rex figures that you'll see. It's got the dark brown red coloring all over its body and some darker detailing along the top. It's got the iconic battle damage right on its nose. It's got the horns on its head as well, and it has some action features as well. Over here is another Sinoceratops figure from Camp Cretaceous. But as you can see, this one has totally different coloring. It is a soft green color over most of its body, and it's got some tan detailing along the top of its back and some unique coloring right on the top as well. And this figure has yellow eyes instead of those black eyes. And with this figure as well, you can use the tail to control the head. This is one of my favorite Camp Cretaceous figures. This is the T-Rex from Camp Cretaceous. And it's my favorite because it's one of the largest T-Rexes that I have. It has some awesome coloring, and it has the tail and button on the tail that you can use to control the neck and the jaw. And I just love how realistic you can make this figure look just by moving the tail around. We've got another Camp Cretaceous figure here. This is the Spinosaurus. It's got the light tan coloring along most of its body. It's got some brighter coloring along the bottom of its neck, but most importantly, it's got the red along the spine and at the top of its head too. Plus, it's got those dark orange eyes, which is a pretty cool feature. And this figure is pretty adjustable as well. You can move the arms, the legs, the tail, you can move the neck around, and of course, there's a button at the top of its head for chomping. And check out all those teeth too. I really like how narrow the Spinosaurus's mouth is. We've got another super large T-Rex figure in here. This is from Jurassic World Dominion. It has much darker coloring with the black on top and the dark brown on bottom with a lighter underbelly. This T-Rex has a much bigger jaw and neck than what you'll see in many of the other Camp Cretaceous T-Rexes. And it comes with some actions as well. You can use the tail to swing the torso back and forth, and it has a button to activate the jaw. Look at that, it's even got some room in its mouth that you could probably fit a few miniature dinosaurs in there. Here we've got a few Baryonyx figures from Camp Cretaceous. They're both green and brown in color, but they're not quite the same. This one is a darker green, has 2 tones of brown along the top. It's got the action button on its back to activate the jaw. This one is a much lighter green. It's almost like a mustard yellow and green color, and it has brown on the top and a darker green along the back. And this figure has a slide lever action to activate the jaw and sound effects. This figure is the Yangchuanosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a soft green body with the yellow underbelly and the brown detailing along the top, and it's got the orange crown on the top of its head. This figure is pretty adjustable. You can move the arms and the legs. You can use the legs to actually position the neck up and down. And you can use the tail to swing the torso back and forth, and a button in its tail to use the jaw. This is a Camp Cretaceous Triceratops. It's got the brown coloring along most of its body, 2 tones of blue along the top and along the front as well. It's got some sound effects, and just like the Sinoceratops, when you move the tail, you can control the head. Next up, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Parasaurolophus figure with yellow coloring along most of its body. It's got some dark purple and then some bright reflective, like purple-pink coloring along its leg and its back. And it's got the iconic horn at the top of its head too. And with this figure, you can use the tail to control the head, just like many of the other Camp Cretaceous figures. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Sound Surge T-Rex. This T-Rex is a lot smaller compared to many of the other T-Rex figures that I have. It's got the same type of coloring, brown along most of its body, with gray detailing along its neck. But the most important part about this figure is the sound effects it comes with. And as the final feature, you can open and close the mouth manually. You'll see that the teeth or the tongue is not painted though. This Camp Cretaceous figure, I believe, is the Extreme Chompin' Indominus Rex. It's a smaller looking figure with a huge head and huge eyes, and it comes with a few features. There's a button at the top of its head to activate some sound effects, and when it's dark you can see its eyes glow. And you can use the tail to open the jaw, and when you press on the tongue, it'll close it. Over here, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Cryolophosaurus. This Cryolophosaurus has the dark blue coloring with the white and red detailing along its body. I do have a yellow Cryolophosaurus as well, but I think this was the only one from the Camp Cretaceous toy line. And as you can hear, it's got some sound effects, and you can use the tail to control the head. Next up is the Jurassic World Dominion Rajasaurus. This figure has brown coloring. We saw the one earlier that had the dark blue coloring. It's got the same spine and the horn, but yeah, this one is a light brown color with some dark blue detailing along the top of its back and its neck. And of course, it still has the same action for when you press down on its body, it chomps. Next up, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. This is a smaller Giganotosaurus figure, but it still has the iconic spine and the same coloring as many of the other figures. You can open and close the mouth manually, and the most important part is that it's got some sound effects built in. Next, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Ceratosaurus. This dinosaur figure has the iconic white horn at the top of its nose. It's got the red detailing and the brown detailing along its back and neck, and the rest of its body is a light gray color. And it's got one action button on its back to activate the jaw. This Jurassic World Dominion figure is the Ankylosaurus. It's got the clay red body with the brown top and lighter spikes, and it's got an action that when you press down on its body, it swings the tail back and forth with sound effects. Next up, we've got a figure that I bought pretty recently. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Megaraptor. It's got some pretty cool coloring. The entire back of its body is a bright red color, and the front is this darker gray-blue color. It's got some white detailing along its nose. And just like the Rajasaurus figures, this has an action that when you press down on its body, it chomps. I believe this one is the Jurassic World Dominion Iguanodon. It's got a light tan body with some detailing along the top, and when you press down on this body, it moves its head up and down. Right over here, we've got some smaller Camp Cretaceous figures. First, we've got this bright red and green Velociraptor with spring-loaded legs, so you can actually launch them into the air. We've also got two different colored Stygimolochs. This first one is dark brown with some purple detailing along the top. This one is a lighter blue color, and it's got some purple detailing around its face and its neck. And of course, both of them have the head ramming action when you press down on their tail. And of course, we've got another Camp Cretaceous Velociraptor blue figure. I've got a couple Jurassic World Dominion figures with extreme battle damage. This first one is the Dimetrodon with the battle damage on its side that you can turn on and off by pressing this button. And there's also this yellow and dark blue Velociraptor with the battle damage that you can turn on and off with this button up top. We've got some more smaller figures in here. This first one is the Camp Cretaceous Monolophosaurus. It has a dark green body. It's got some yellow detailing along the top and some red right at the top of its head. This next Camp Cretaceous figure is the Proceratosaurus figure. It has a dark blue body with some orange and brown detailing along the top of its head. And this figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. This is the Moros Intrepidus. It has a soft green body and orange from the tail down this line on its side, as well as around its eyes too. And here are our final three figures in this bin, all from Jurassic World Dominion. First, we've got a tan Atrociraptor in the crawling pose. This is the Maragaya figure with the huge spikes on its shoulders. And inside this container, what could it be? All right, it is another Atrociraptor figure. This is the white and brown Atrociraptor. And despite how small this figure is, it is pretty adjustable. And you can even twist the neck around too. Today, I'm going to show you this huge collection of Jurassic World figures that I took down from my display shelves. I bet there's around 100 figures in here. Plus, I've even got some brand new ones from the Amber collection, the Hammond collection, and from the new Jurassic World Dominion series that we're going to open up. So let's get started. First up is the Strike and Roar Giganotosaurus. This figure is dark green in color, like many of the Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the huge spines in the back all the way up to its head, and it's pretty adjustable. You can move the legs around, you can adjust the arms, and the biggest feature of this figure is the button on its back that you use to swing its head around. Look at that chomping action. Plus, there is a button at the bottom of its tail as well for chomping the mouth. Next up, we've got the Amber Collection Velociraptor from the Lost World Jurassic Park. Alright, here's the figure. This is a bright orange Velociraptor with a tan underbelly. It's got those dark brown stripes along the top, all the way to the top of the head. Looks like his eyes are like a dark gold color. And like all of the Amber Collection figures, this figure is very adjustable with all of its limbs and is very poseable. Plus, this figure comes with a stand that you can use to display your brand new Velociraptor. Next up is the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. So this figure is predominantly a light tan color. It's got some dark purple brown coloring along the legs and along the back, and most importantly, that bright orange stripe all the way from its head down to its tail. And overall, I'd say the detailing and paint on this is pretty decent. It's not the most detailed that I've seen, but I definitely appreciate that you can move all the limbs around. You can bend at the knees, you can move the arms, you can adjust the neck and the head as well. So it is a very adjustable figure. And finally, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion, Dr. Alan Grant and Dimetrodon set. So here is Dr. Alan Grant holding a Dimetrodon skull. That thing is humongous. And here is the Dimetrodon figure. Its body is a gray-green color, and it's got the iconic super huge spine along its back that's orange. Right along its spine, you can find the DNA barcode scanner, and you can adjust the legs, the tail, the neck, and the jaw as well. Let's dive into our first bin of Jurassic World figures. This T-Rex has a tearing action. When you press this button on its back, it swings its head around and clamps its jaw shut. Plus, it's got another button on its back to swing the tail around too. Next up, we've got a bright orange T-Rex with battle damage all over its body. It's got some on its chin, on its neck, on its thigh, on its stomach, and it's got a button at the top of its head for the chomping action. Here is another bright orange T-Rex, but this one does not have any battle damage at all, and it also has the button on the top of its head for chomping. Here we've got a smaller T-Rex figure. I believe this is the Sound Surge T-Rex. It's got this button on its back that you can use to activate the sound effects. This, I believe, is the Jurassic World Dominion Thrash and Devour T-Rex. It's got the black top, brown sides, and the lighter underbelly, and you can use the tail to control the face. Got two more T-Rexes left in this haul. This is a dark green T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for chomping, and the rest of its body is adjustable too. And way back here, we've got the T-Rex with the extreme battle damage. Check that out, you can turn it on and off. Next up are the Indominus Rexes. This first Indominus Rex figure is larger than a lot of the T-Rex figures I have, and it has two actions. The first is on the front of its back, that's used for claw slashing, and the second is on its tail, used for the jaws. This second Indominus Rex is the Extreme Battle Damage Edition. You can see its battle damage on this side and on the other side, and you can turn it on and off using the button on the top of its back. Next up are the Scorpius Rexes. This is a basic figure of the Scorpius Rex, so you can move its arms and legs somewhat, and its tail is slightly adjustable. And this figure, interestingly, is very narrow. And here is the better version of the Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is very adjustable, and it has two actions. The first is for roaring and chomping, and the second action button is for slashing the claws. Here we've got a ton of Ceratosaurus figures. This first one has a gray, red, and brown body with the white horn. This next one has a tan body with red and black and a yellow horn. I've also got a dark green Ceratosaurus with a slide lever action. A brown and orange Ceratosaurus with an action button on its back for chomping and roaring. And another gray, red, and black Ceratosaurus with a slide action lever on its back. Next up, I've got a few Carcharodontosaurus figures. This first one is a bright red Carcharodontosaurus with the yellow on the top of its head and some darker detailing on its back. And the second Carcharodontosaurus is yellow and green in color, and it has the same chomping action button as the first one. Here is a pretty scary looking predator. This is a Tarbosaurus. It is gray, black, and red right underneath its chin, and it's got these huge spikes right along its spine. Next, I've got two Albertosauruses. The first one has battle damage on its side that you can open up and close, and a little bit of battle damage right on its leg. And the second Albertosaurus is a bit brighter in color. It has a bright orange along the side, and it has an action button on its tail for chomping. Next up, this first Carcharodontosaurus is dark blue, and it's got some orange and brown detailing, and it has an action button for chomping. This second Carcharodontosaurus is tan in color, and it has some orange and brown detailing, and it actually has a face cage that you can use the action button to break free from. This dinosaur figure, if I remember correctly, is the Yangchuanosaurus. This figure has an action that when you move the tail, it swings its torso around, plus a button to activate the jaw. Here, I've got a few Suchomimus figures. This first one is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top, and two action buttons, one to activate the face and jaw, and a second to activate the tail. This second Suchomimus is dark blue in color with yellow detailing along the top and the spine, and has one action button to activate the jaw. Next, we've got some Endoraptor figures. This first one is a basic figure, so you can only move the arms, legs, and tail a little bit, and you can't activate the jaw at all. But it still has some pretty awesome coloring and details with the spikes. And this second Endoraptor figure is extremely adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, the elbows, the knees. The tail has two joints that you can turn, and you can open and close the jaw too. I've also got quite a few Allosaurus figures in here too. This first one is gray and yellow in coloring, and has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. This next Allosaurus is tan and blue with actually two tones of blue on its body, and it has two action buttons, one to activate the jaw and one to activate the arms. Here are two more Allosaurus figures. This first one is dark green, white, and red in color, and has a slide action button to activate the jaw and roaring sound effects. And this Allosaurus is brown and blue in color, and has the slide action lever to activate the jaw and sound effects. And the last dinosaur of this first bin is the Irritator. It has a brown body with blue and light blue coloring, and you can use the tail to control the face. On to the second bin. This first dinosaur is the Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus with the dark green body and the red spine. This next figure, I believe, is the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus with the same body but with a light tan color and darker brown along the top right next to the red spine. I've also got quite a few Carnotaurus figures in here as well. This one is a dark brown Carnotaurus and has an action button on its tail for chomping. This next Carnotaurus figure is a bit smaller, but it's from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's dark green in color with the orange detailing right along the top. This next Carnotaurus is bright orange in color with a darker top, and also has the action button on its tail for chomping. And this final Carnotaurus is a bit smaller and darker red in color, and has an action button on the top of its back for chomping. This next figure is a Seats Microrum. It's got the bright orange and the dark blue coloring, and all these spikes right along the top of its head and its back too. And over here, I've got quite a few Baryonyx figures. This first one is dark gray and blue with bright blue right along the top. This next figure is dark brown and dark gray with the bright orange right along its nose. And these other Baryonyx figures have all sorts of colors as well. This one is bright green with brown detailing. This next one has actually a little bit of battle damage on its side, right on its neck and on its leg. And this final Baryonyx is gray and a dark blue-gray in color with the reflective blue right along the top of its head. I've also got a few Cryolophosaurus figures as well. This first one is dark blue with white, red, and orange detailing, and has an action button that you can use to control the head. And this second Cryolophosaurus figure is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top, and the orange right along the top of the head. Right here are a few basic Dilophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color all over its body, and it has the red coloring right along its frills and the crown. And this second Dilophosaurus is a dark red color, and it has the green and orange coloring right along its frills, and the yellow on the crown too. Next up is the Rajasaurus from the Jurassic World Dominion collection. This dinosaur has an action that when you press down on the body, it chomps. Next up, I believe this is the Majungasaurus. It's got a dark green body with yellow and blue as well. And here is one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Giganotosaurus, and it comes with sound effects too. Here are a few Ankylosauruses from the original Jurassic World movie. This first one is brown and tan in color, has a little bit of battle damage on the side. This one right here is a special edition because it has a removable protective shell on top of its spikes, as well as on the back of its tail right here, and is a gray color, but it also has some reflective green and blue coloring all throughout. Next up, we've got a basic raptor figure. This is Velociraptor Blue, and this figure is fairly adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, and tail just a little bit. This is an interesting looking dinosaur. This is a Concavenator. It's got some super bright coloring along its back and on its face too. This figure, I believe, is an Ankylosaurus. This dinosaur has the super long neck and all these spikes right along its back, and it has an action button to control the head. We've also got a few Triceratops figures back here. This first one is a clay red color with brown detailing right along the top. And this second one is a dark brown color with two tones of blue right along the top. Next up, we've got a Megaraptor from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This figure has a chomping action that you can activate by pressing down on its body. This dinosaur figure is the Nasutoceratops. It's got the blue, red, and green body with the lighter underbelly and an action button to activate the head and the tail. This huge figure is the Pentaceratops. It's got a tan body with gray detailing along the top and an action button to break free from its face cage. Looks like we have a few more Indominus Rex figures back here. This first one is the larger of the two. It has battle damage right on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw. And this second Indominus Rex figure is a bit smaller. It has permanent battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw and the neck. This, I believe, is a Spinosaurus. It's got the green body with the tan detailing all over. It's got a little bit of orange on the top of its head, too. And I've got a few Stegosaurus figures in here as well. This one is a teal blue color with a lighter underbelly and has an action button to swing the tail back and forth. This next Stegosaurus figure is a darker blue-gray color and is very much similar and has the same action button to swing the tail around. And this final Stegosaurus is brown, tan, and green in color and actually has a different action button that when you press right here, it swings its entire back body back and forth. That's different than the other two figures that I have. This next figure, I believe, is a Kentrosaurus. It has a brown body and a slide lever action to activate the swinging back and forth with those two front spikes. Over here, we've got a few more Ankylosauruses from Jurassic World. This first one has a clay red body with the brown on top and the tan spikes. And this second one has a dark brown belly with the gray spikes and the green and gray all over the top. I've also got a few more Velociraptors from the Amber collection. Here is the bright green one with gray detailing and the gray underbelly. Here is the brown Velociraptor with the light underbelly and the gray detailing along the top. We've also got this gray Velociraptor, I believe is Velociraptor Blue. And I've also got this bright teal velociraptor with the lighter underbelly. This figure is another Parasaurolophus. It's got the yellow body with the bright pink or purple coloring right along the top. Here is an iguanodon that I bought just recently. It has a tan body with a darker brown top and the striping, and has a head swinging action when you press down on the body. This is the Baryonyx from the Hammond collection, and is very adjustable with all the limbs in its body. I've also got a few Atrociraptors in here. This first one is tan and in the sneaking pose, and this second one is the classic gray color with the brown striping. Next, I've got the Miragaia with the huge spikes on its side, and I believe this is the Shringosaurus with a much smaller spikes right on its shoulders. I've also got tons of Velociraptors in here. This first one is bright red and green and is actually one of the jumping Velociraptors. This other Velociraptor is one of the normal ones, but is gray in color and has the dark blue coloring right along the top. I've got even more Velociraptors. This first one has the extreme battle damage on the side. This next Velociraptor is another one of the jumping Velociraptors and is a bright teal color. And this Velociraptor is dark red with a purple stripe right down the sides. And here's even some more Velociraptor figures. This first one is Velociraptor Blue in the Springing series. Here is another Velociraptor Blue figure, but this one is the Battle Damage edition that you can open and close. Here is a classic brown Velociraptor with the bright green eyes. And here is Velociraptor Beta, a much smaller and younger Velociraptor. Here are a couple Dimetrodon figures. This first one is a gray-blue color along its body with a bright red and yellow speckled spine. This other figure is actually a Battle Damage edition that you can turn on and off. It has the green body with the bright red spine. This brightly colored figure is the Moros Intrepidus, and it's got the teal body with the bright orange tail. I've also got a few Herrerasaurus figures in here as well. First one is a gray-blue color with a lighter detailing along the top. And this second one actually has battle damage on the side, and the rest of its body is green with brown detailing along the top. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here. This first one is a darker brown color with gray detailing, and this other Monolophosaurus is a bright lime green with darker green detailing right along its back, and the red right next to its nose. Here we've got some herbivore figures. This is the Dracorex in the lime green color. This next herbivore is a Stygimoloch, I believe. It's got the huge spikes right next to its hard head, and the rest of its body is a clay red color with some darker detailing. And this figure is a Pachycephalosaurus. It's got the green on the belly and the clay red on top, and an action button for the head hammering. Here are a few more Dilophosaurus figures, but a lot smaller. This first one is brown and blue with some white in the frill. This next one is a deep purple color with red on the back and yellow and red right along the frills. And this final Dilophosaurus is green on the belly, black on the back, and it's got some red and yellow in the frills. We've got a few more herbivores in here. Here is a Battle Damage Edition Triceratops with the battle damage right along the side. We've also got a Minmi figure that is green in color, and it's got the spikes all along its back. And I believe that this one is a Cosmoceratops and is very decorative in the front. Next up, we've got a Protoceratops that is purple in color, and it's got the yellow detailing along the top. This figure I think might be an iguanodon, but I'm actually not sure, but it is dark blue along the sides and the bottom, and it's got the orange-yellow detailing along the top. And this figure is another Parasaurolophus. This is a light brown color on the belly and the sides, and it's got the darker detailing along its back. And here are our last 3 dinosaurs out of these 2 huge bins. We've first got a baby Brachiosaurus that is light green on the sides and a darker green along the top. Here is a Sauropelta with the huge spikes on the top. And finally, the good old Zunoceratops with the 2 spikes in the front and the dark blue along the top and its back, and the rest of its body is a light green color. Welcome back! Today we're checking out my collection of Jurassic World Dominion figures, including these brand new ones that I'm gonna open up in this video. First up is the Roar Strikers Iguanodon. So here is the unboxed Iguanodon. I think this might be the first Iguanodon in my collection, actually. It's got a light tan body with the dark brown on top and the tan striping. It's got the barcode scanner right along the top. And you can move its front legs around and its back legs. Plus, there is an action button that when you press down on the body, it roars and dips its head down too. Next up, we've got the Mega Raptor from the Roar Strikers series. As you already know, the Mega Raptor is related to the Velociraptor, but it's got some differences. This figure has feathers all over its body. You can see some on its arms, on the top of its back, on the top of its head, and at the end of the tail as well. This figure is bright red in the back and a dark blue-gray in the front. Plus, it has some detailing on the face as well. And this figure comes with an action that when you press down on the body, it chomps and roars. Next up, we've got a dual pack. This is the Sound Surge, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Giganotosaurus set. All right, here they are. Let's check out the Giganotosaurus first. This Giganotosaurus has the typical dark green and black coloring, typical for the Jurassic World figures. And it's pretty adjustable. You can move the tail, you can move the arms and the legs. So it is pretty adjustable. I will note that the mouth is actually not colored at all. So it is just green, just like the rest of the body. But the coolest feature of these figures are the roaring sound effects. Let's check that out. That is pretty cool. I bet that roar is from the movie. Now let's check out the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure has the tan brown coloring with the black detailing that we see in many of the T-Rex figures. You can open and close the mouth, but as you notice, the mouth is not colored differently than the rest of the face. And you can move the arms and the legs and the tail just like the Giganotosaurus. So now let's check out the T-Rex sound effects that this comes with. I really like how this comes in a 2-pack too, and they're both the same size, smaller than most of the T-Rex figures, but still a good size. Next up, we've got a super colossal Atrociraptor. This figure has the light gray body with the brown and lighter brown detailing on its back and sides. It's got some huge claws on its hand, just like the super colossal Velociraptor figures. And on its face, it has a full set of teeth all the way around. It's got those orange eyes. And just like all the other super colossal figures, you can feed it miniature dinosaurs and empty it out in its stomach. Next up of these super colossal figures is the T-Rex. This figure is dark brown on the sides, black on the top, and has the light underbelly like many dinosaurs. It is fully adjustable like the other super colossal figures. It's got the yellow eyes and a huge set of teeth. And of course, this super colossal T-Rex can eat miniature dinosaurs as well that you can empty out in the stomach compartment. And finally, of the super colossal figures is the Giganotosaurus. Just like we saw in the smaller Giganotosaurus, it has the dark green sides. However, this one has more detailing along the top. I think it has some bigger spines and it has a light underbelly too. You can move the wrists, you can move the arms, the legs, the tail, and of course you can open up the Giganotosaurus's mouth really wide to eat those miniature dinosaurs too. And this figure actually has some bright golden eyes, which I think is really cool. Next up, we've got the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is the most adjustable Tyrannosaurus Rex that I have. You can twist the torso around, you can move all the joints in its arms, in its legs. It actually has 2 joints in its tail as well, which is pretty cool. And it has tons of detail on its face too. It's got some super realistic details in its mouth, like the tongue and the flap on the side. It's got these dark yellow teeth, and it's got those marble yellow eyes too. Here, we've got the Thrash and Devour T-Rex. This T-Rex, just like the super colossal figure, is dark brown on the sides. It has the black on the top and the light underbelly too. I will note that this figure's head is proportionally larger than the rest of its body compared to the other T-Rex figures that I have, which is an interesting detail. And it has the tail that controls the head and a button for roaring too. This is the Ocean Protector Mosasaurus. Unlike the older Mosasaurus figure, this has a dark blue body with white speckles all over its top. It's got the light blue eyes, the huge jaw, and you can adjust the fins and actually move the tail in this one. Next up is the sound-slashing Thrizinosaurus. This dinosaur was one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. And this figure is actually pretty controllable too. You can use the tail to swing the head around and the torso, and there's a button on the tail for the chomping as well. And you know, I think this might be my favorite dinosaur from the new Jurassic World movie. Comment down below what your favorite dinosaur was from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Roar Strikers Ankylosaurus. It has the clay red bottom and the brown and tan top. This figure is pretty adjustable as well. You can twist its head around, you can move its legs, and it has an action button that when you press down on the body, it swings its tail around. This big figure is the Yangchuanosaurus. It has a soft green colored body with the lighter underbelly and the brown detailing along the top, plus this orange detail right on the top of its head. You can move the arms on this figure and the legs, and the tail actually controls the torso and the head, so you can move it and make it look really lifelike. This is the Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor, and this figure has 2 features. First is when you press this button on the top, you get some sound effects, and the second is when you touch its chin, it'll actually walk around. Next up, we have a mysterious dino cage, but what could be inside of it? Let's see. All right, it's an Atrociraptor, and you can actually control it from the back too. This figure is a light gray color with the brown detailing over its body and is pretty adjustable too. You can move all the different limbs, you can open and close the jaw, and even twist the neck around. Next up is the Rajasaurus with the brown coloring on its side and bottom, and it's got the gray-blue coloring right along the top of its back, as well as that single horn right on the top of its head. Plus, this figure comes with an action that when you press down on its body, it chomps and roars. This next one is the massive action Ankylosaurus. Just like the Carnotaurus, it has the clay red body with the brown detailing along the top, and it's got this super long neck that you can actually control by moving the tail around. Here we've got the Rowdy Roars Dilophosaurus. It's got the iconic frills on the sides and the top, and just like the other Rowdy Roars figure that I have, it has 2 action buttons. First is when you press the button on top of its head, and the second is when you touch its chin. It can walk around. Next up is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx. This figure is super adjustable in all its limbs. It has some pretty cool coloring, pretty similar to the other Baryonyx figures, especially with that blue detailing right underneath its eye. So this figure is super easy to pose on the shelf. I really like that. This is the Pachycephalosaurus, actually from the Legacy collection. It's got the gray body with a little bit of brown detailing on the bottom and a bunch of blue along the top. It's got the DNA barcode scanner right along its shoulder, and you can use the tail for the headbutting action. This is the Carnotaurus from the Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got the green body with the orange detailing along the top, and it's pretty adjustable too. You can move its neck, open its jaw, you can move its legs and arms, and even twist the tail too. Here is the huge winged dinosaur that I'm sure you recognize from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Quetzalcoatlus. It's got the soft blue-gray coloring along its body, it's got the brown wings, and it's got some bright coloring right along its head. It's got some orange and some bright blue too. Looks like we've got some battle damage figures from the Jurassic World Dominion collection. This first one is the Velociraptor with extreme battle damage, right there on the side. You can press it to turn it on and off. I've also got actually two of the extreme battle damage Coeluruses. These figures are pretty adjustable as well. You can put them in all sorts of poses and even open and close their jaws. And I've got the Dimetrodon with extreme battle damage right on its side. Next up, I've got the Moros Intrepidus from the Ferocious pack. This figure has a soft green color along most of its body. It's got the orange along its tail and a little bit of detailing along its back, and some detailing right along its eyes too. This is the Ferocious pack Miragaia. This figure has a darker color scheme with the dark gray-blue color in the back and the black in the front with some brighter detailing right along its face. And the most iconic part are these two huge horns right next to its shoulders. This is the Cosmoceratops from the Legacy Collection. It has a dark green color along most of its body with a bit brighter green along the top. It's got some cool detailing along its face, and it has an action button for roaring. This is a Dilophosaurus. Now you can't open and close its jaws, but it's got the bright frills right in the front as usual, and a green body on the bottom and black on the top. Here we've got another Atrociraptor. This one is in the sneaking or stalking pose. It's got the light tan body with a bit of dark brown detailing along it, and you can even open and close the jaw on this one. This is the Zungaripterus. This is a flying dinosaur, and it's got the bright yellow wings and belly and brown top and face as well. And it's got some bright blue and red detailing right along its face. And finally, we've got a little Velociraptor Beta. This figure looks a lot like Blue. It's got the same distinctive coloring, but this is actually a younger Velociraptor, just like in the movie. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a bunch of Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World figures and putting them up on my empty shelves right over here. Got a lot of shelves to fill, so let's get started with the brand new Spinosaurus and the Snap Squads. First up is the Camp Cretaceous Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus. Let's open this up. Alright, this is a huge figure. I have a few other Spinosauruses like this one. So the coloring's pretty realistic. It's not too crazy. It's brown on most of its body. It's got the red detailing on the spine, on the face. It's got those orange eyes. Its body is pretty adjustable. You can move the ankles, the legs, the tail, the arms. You can even adjust the neck like that, which is pretty cool. And it's got a button on the top of its head that you can use for chomping. Next up is the Camp Cretaceous Snap Squad Spinosaurus. This is a little one. You can still see that iconic spine right there. Let's open it up. As you can see, most of its limbs are pretty loose, so they actually just dangle there. And that is because you can snap this onto something and then it'll just dangle there. And just like the big Spinosaurus that we saw, this one has those dark orange eyes too. Let's check out our other Snap Squad figures. Next up is the Triceratops from the Snap Squad series. This figure is a dark red, kind of like a maroon color. It's got the yellow eyes and the yellow detailing right on the front. It's got the 3 horns, and just like the other, its legs are dangly, so that when you snap it onto something, its legs will dangle like that. And last but not least, the Snap Squad Carnotaurus, one of my favorite dinosaurs. Let's get this opened up. All right, here it is. This Carnotaurus has a lighter color than most of the Carnotaurus figures I have. You can see it's got a light brown and then dark brown on the top. But like all the other Carnotauruses I have, you can see it's got the battle damage right there on its nose. That's really cool. All right, let's put all these new figures on the shelf. Let's start with the Spinosaurus, right in the dead center of this empty shelf right here. These Spinosauruses are usually pretty hard to balance, but this one's working out. And let's snap these Snap Squad figures right next to the Spinosaurus. Gonna hang the Carnotaurus upside down, right on the shelf. This little Spinosaurus, I think I'll attach to the big one, right on its hand. And the Triceratops, where should we put that one? Ooh, I know. Let's hang it right on the banner right here. Ha, that's actually pretty cool. Let's fill up my shelves with the rest of these Camp Cretaceous figures. Let's start with this Ceratosaurus right here. This is gray and red mostly. You can see it's got some brown detailing on it, and it's got an action button for its jaws. That is really cool. Let's put it front and center right next to the Spinosaurus. Here we've got a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is like a brown-orange color. You can see it's got a button on the top to control its jaw. And you can adjust the neck just like the Spinosaurus. And you can also adjust the rest of the limbs too. Let's put this one on this right shelf, right in the center. Next up, a huge Indominus Rex with battle damage on the side. This is the battle damage that you can turn on and off with the button. That is super cool. And still, the rest of the figure is pretty adjustable. You can adjust the legs and the arms and the neck too. And there's the action button on its tail to control its face. Let's put this Indominus Rex right next to the Spinosaurus, right in the middle. There we go. Here is another T-Rex. This T-Rex, when you move the tail, it controls the head. So it looks pretty realistic. This T-Rex is brown in color as well. You can see the browner stripe right along the top of its body and a light underbelly. There we go, two T-Rexes side by side. Here is a slightly smaller carnivore. This is the Carnotaurus. And just like the Snap Squad figure that we saw earlier, you can see that battle damage right on its nose. How cool is that? And it's pretty detailed on its body. You can see there's black specks all over its mostly red body with a lighter underbelly. So let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's go over to this side right here. Put it right next to this Velociraptor. Here's another giant Indominus Rex, but check out the coloring on this. This is totally different than the gray one that we have over there. This is a custom colored one. So it's got blue, purple, orange, and black, plus those green eyes right there. That is really cool. Let's find a spot for this on the shelf. Let's put it on the other side of the Spinosaurus. All right, there it is. This first shelf is looking pretty full already. Check this one out. This is a gray and yellow Allosaurus, I believe. Look at that action button right on its back to control its jaw. This is pretty cool. And it's a fully adjustable body as well. Let's put these right next to the T-Rexes. Here is a T-Rex with a very special feature. With this action button, you can see that it has a tearing action. That is pretty unique. Not that many figures that I have do that. So let's find a place for this right next to the Carnotaurus. Here is an herbivore. This is a Triceratops. It's a red maroon color with brown detailing on the top. And it's got an action button that you can press to roar. Seems like the sound effects aren't really working right now, but This is a pretty detailed figure. Looks like a little discoloration on its leg right there. Or maybe that's intentional. I actually can't tell. Let's put this on this higher up shelf right here. And we've still got a few more T-Rexes in here. This one is a battle damage, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw earlier. And press the button to turn the battle damage on and off. And this T-Rex is fully posable, so when you open its mouth, it actually stays open. You don't have to press a button. Let's put this right next to this other Terran T-Rex right here. There we go, got a little more space. Here is, I believe, another Allosaurus. This Allosaurus, though, is yellow with blue coloring all over its body. You can see that there's two different tones of blue. Got the light blue and the dark blue. Plus, the two action buttons on its back. One to control the jaw, and one to control the arms. Let's put this right next to this other Allosaurus. Alright, looking awesome. Here is a Baryonyx. This has probably one of my favorite colorings of the Baryonyx figures that I have. Two tones of green, got the dark green in the front and the bright green in the back. Got some yellow detailing and some red right next to its eyes. Let's put this right next to the Triceratops up top here. Here's a weird looking dinosaur. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got a dark purple, it's got some orange, got red, and then the rest of its body is like a blue-gray color. You can move all of its legs, and it's pretty adjustable actually, and you can move the tail to control the head. Let's put this right in between the Spinosaurus and the Indominus Rex. Oh, we've got another T-Rex right here. This T-Rex I don't think has battle damage or anything like that, so this is just a normal T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for the roaring action. Let's put this T-Rex right next to the other T-Rexes. Here's an interesting looking herbivore. This is a Kentrosaurus. Check out those huge spikes right along its shoulders, as well as the spikes on its tail, just like a Stegosaurus. And this Kentrosaurus has a sliding action to swing those spikes back and forth. That is really cool. Let's put this right next to the Baryonyx up top right here. Here's another Baryonyx. This one has bright orange detailing right on the top of its head. The rest of its body is brown and a dark gray-blue color right along the top. Let's check out this action button too. Let's put it next to these T-Rexes and Carnotaurus right here. This dinosaur, I believe, is an Tyrannosaurus. It's pretty unique in its shape and color. Look at that bright blue right along its mouth. It's got some yellow on its spine, and it's got a light underbelly as well. Plus, this Tyrannosaurus has a slide action. Alright, let's find a place for this. Let's put it right next to the Sarcophagus, right up front. Here is another herbivore. This is a Sinoceratops. You can see it looks pretty similar to the Triceratops, but the big difference is in its horns and its face. Plus, it's got an action button on the back to control its head as well. Let's put this Sinoceratops right next to the Kentrosaurus, right up top. Here's another predator. This is a medium-sized figure, and this is the Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the action button on its back to control its jaw, and the rest of its body is like a yellow-green color and darker green along the top. Let's put this right in front of these T-Rexes right over here. Here's another predator. This is an Albertosaurus. This dinosaur has an all-green body with orange detailing right along its back, all the way up to its head. And this figure has the action button on its tail to control its jaw. Next up is a Ceratosaurus with dark green coloring and black detailing along its back. And this Ceratosaurus has the slide action to open and close its jaw in multiple degrees. Let's put this Ceratosaurus right next to the other one, right here. Next up, we've got another mighty Triceratops with a brown body and 2 tones of blue. You got the dark blue in the back and the light blue in the front. And with this Triceratops, you can actually control the head with the tail. You can twist it back and forth. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but you can control its head. Let's put this Triceratops right next to the Sinoceratops. Here's a different looking dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a super long and narrow snout. This dinosaur is blue and yellow in color, and it has one action button that you press to control the head. Let's put this Suchomimus next to, you know what? Let's put him on this lower shelf, right next to Godzilla. Over here, we've got a small little one. This is Ankylosaurus Bumpy. And as you can see, we've actually got a full-size Ankylosaurus with the same coloring as Bumpy. Let's check both of these out. So Bumpy's pretty small, doesn't have any action buttons, but you can adjust the head and the legs and the tail as well. But the adult one has an action on it. Let's check that out. Just like many of the other figures we've seen, this Ankylosaurus has a slide action on its back. And can you guess what that does? It swings its tail around. That is really cool. Let's put these Ankylosauruses right on the shelf. Check it out, it is another Carnotaurus. This one is more brightly colored than the other ones that we've seen. You can see all those bumps and spikes on its back. It's got the dark brown on the top, and it's like a red-orange on the sides and a gray underbelly. Let's put this Carnotaurus right next to these T-Rexes right over here. This is looking pretty awesome. This is like the carnivore shelf so far. Here we've got another Albertosaurus, but this one has battle damage. You can see it's got the stomach, it's actually pretty squishy. Then you can slide down the ribs, and they click in place, and then you can actually cover it up all the way. Let's put this Albertosaurus right next to the other one. Here's another big figure. This is a Stegosaurus with a mostly green body and some brown and tan detailing. That is really cool. Let's put this Stegosaurus next to these Ankylosauruses down here. All right, we've got even another Allosaurus with the slide action for its jaw. This figure is a dark green color all around its body, and it's got the light tan and red detailing right along its neck, and those red eyes too. Let's put this dinosaur next to this Indominus Rex, right in the front. Here is our last medium-sized dinosaur of the bin. This is a Baryonyx, and it's got green on the belly and sides, and then 2 tones of brown. Got the light brown in the back and the dark brown in the front, and more light brown right on top of its head too. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to this Baryonyx over here. All right, that shelf is just about full. Let's go ahead and grab these Velociraptors. I got 1, 2, and 3. Check out the different coloring on these. We've got a bright red and green Velociraptor. We've got a dark gray and yellow Velociraptor. And we've also got a bright orange, yellow, and brown Velociraptor. Let's put all of these Velociraptors together on this front shelf right here. Second one right here. And the third one right here. Right next to the Atrociraptor. got some interesting looking smaller dinosaurs. I believe this is a Protoceratops. This one is a super light green on its side and the yellow detailing all over its body. Let's put this Protoceratops right here. Next up, we've got a dark red Minmi with spikes all over its top. Let's put this dinosaur right in the front, right in front of the Spinosaurus. Over here, we've got a Zuniceratops. It's got the 2 spikes in the front, and it's got a bright green body with the dark gray-blue coloring on the top, and all in the front, too. Let's put this Zuniceratops right in front of this Triceratops right here. Check out the spikes on this Sauropelta. It's got a bright red body along the top with brown on the bottom. Let's put this Sauropelta right in front of the Indominus Rex. I believe this dinosaur is a Monolophosaurus. This dinosaur has a light brown body with gray detailing on the top and on its feet too. Let's put this dinosaur right up top here next to the Pyroraptor. Here is a winged dinosaur with battle damage on its wing. That's interesting. This, I believe, is a Pteranodon. Let's put this Pteranodon on top of the Indominus Rex. I think it'll rest there really good. Just a few more dinosaurs left. This is a Tanystropheus. This dinosaur lives in the water. And this figure has an action. When you pull down on the tail, it moves its neck up and down. Let's put this dinosaur way over here next to the Triceratops. Here is another winged dinosaur. This is a Dimorphodon. This dinosaur has a shorter snout compared to the Pteranodon, and you can see that it's got some dark red or maroon coloring right on the underside of its wings. Let's put this flying dinosaur right up top. This T-Rex right here. Next up, we've got a bright green Dracorex with gray striping along the top of its body. It's got a bunch of horns on its head. You can adjust the neck, the head, the arms, and the legs. I think you can twist the tail too. Let's put this Dracorex right next to this Minmi. Here is a Stygimoloch. This dinosaur is a orange-red color along its body with darker detailing along all of its body. It's got the light underbelly, it's got the horns on its head, and of course the super hard head for headbutting. And our last dinosaur is a Gallimimus. This dinosaur is a light tan along its body. You can see it's got some striping on the top. Plus, it's got an action button to move the legs back and forth for running. Let's put this right next to the Stygimoloch up top here.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.